Slacktail Squad, assemble.
This is the Beaveman, master of the universe, leader of the great Slaptail Nation, and this is the Slaptail Squad, and you are members of our great community, our great nation.
Yes, they are.
Perhaps you might be a member of the great Slaptail Nation army, of which I am General, Master, and Commander. Or maybe you took the easier path. Maybe you chose the lighter path, the path of least resistance, and you are a member of the Slaptail Nation Air Force or Space Force.
Yeah, I knew you were going to go there. So now that you're general, is general too low of a position for you?
Well, I'm also Commander in Chief and Master of the Universe.
Well, yeah, but look at the
This
Emperor.
This is many of my titles that I've given myself.
There we go. Because you look at the Emperor from Star Wars, he was not Master of the Universe, but he was the Emperor over everybody. So it kind of put it at a higher level.
No, they never said universe. You notice that? They said galaxy all the time. But there were so many planets in the galaxy. The galaxy was quite huge, quite vast.
It was.
And you know what's really interesting to me, and I know you probably think that I'm a moron because I talk
No,
about this all the
never.
time. And also with me is my number 2, the great and not so powerful Ronz.
I think you mentioned that in the Air Force comment.
The
But
Ronz.
yes, hello. Hey.
No, I would say it was really interesting that I keep learning more and more stuff about Star Wars. And did you know that when they go into, I mean, sometimes they say light speed, sometimes they say hyperspeed. It's actually 2 different things, I guess.
Okay.
So when they jump to hyperspace, it's actually a specific route. There's different hyperspace routes, and it's actually not just speed-wise, but it's also time-wise. There's a time thing.
That would make sense because when Han Solo, depending on how you pronounce it, is trying to calculate, the jump, he's like, why don't you just go straight into it? And he says, and land in the middle of an asteroid field or something like that. And little did he know he was going to be right. But yeah, that is interesting. I didn't know that.
So when you're in hyperspace, you're actually, because it's a time-space continuum, you actually can travel faster than the speed of light. Hence why they can jump from planet to planet, galaxy to galaxy, even though they say they're going to rule a galaxy. They meant the universe, but whatever.
Well, yeah, you can actually go. It's been proven that you can go faster than the speed of light, but can you go faster than the speed of dark?
No, I don't think so.
And a shout out to you, by the way, for hosting last week. That was a great podcast, seeing you and the Swan and Tremonde for the first time. And unbeknownst to our audience, I'll mention it. We are now doing this remotely because of Tremonde, who can't be with us, unfortunately, and other things.
We have to figure out a better way to say that, because every time we say that, it makes it sound like he's deceased. And Tremonde, who can't be with us. Like, what? Is he coming to us from the great beyond?
Well, we could always put him on phone and, mute him when we don't want him to comment.
Yeah, we could, but then it's not going to pick up very well. We wouldn't get great sound that way.
I would agree. And
it's okay. It's okay, Rods. It's okay for you and I to do the podcast together, because this is how it all began. This is how the greatness began.
Actually, it began with just you and somebody else who I won't mention.
It began with me and my former co-host, the Doc. It did.
Mm-hmm. And then it evolved into you and the son, Sky, and then the daughter.
Well, the daughter has her own show. We rarely ever do it, and we really should do it. We really should, because I enjoy doing those shows.
I got invited on, which to me it was great. And then we had someone who won't mention, who never shows up, and then we had Tremonde. So it's great.
Well, life gets in the way.
I know,
and I do believe that who you are referring to is the Ricker, the Woodman. He will be on someday, so don't lose hope, folks. Don't lose hope. Life gets in the way. He found himself all of a sudden really a parent again, and he's doing really well. And I do talk to him, and someday he will rejoin us. So we have not lost hope that the Woodman will be back with us.
I would hope he would come back. So, before I left the Beaver Den, the Beaver Dam, the Beaver Studio, I showed you a trailer of the new He-Man. What did you think of it?
I thought it was really, really great. It was really, really great, right? I thought it
Uh,
was great. And I thought that was great. I did. I thought it was great.
is
Yeah,
that
I'm
all?
excited for it. I'm excited for it. What can I say? I'm a big He-Man fan.
The animation looks really smooth, but of course, when I was a kid, when you were a kid, it wasn't so good. But now with CGI and
It was all right. I
yeah,
mean,
it was all
they
right.
had a they had a the problem with a lot of the cartoons from the 80s was they always try to wrap some sort of a lesson into everything. Remember GI Joe did that, the Roz is older than I am. So by the
well,
time I was
well, yeah, we celebrated my birthday. Thank you.
by the time I was watching cartoons, Ron's was already pretty much an adult. But that doesn't mean he didn't watch cartoons because I watched cartoons as an adult.
Funny thing
Uh,
about that, though, you ever notice as you get into your teenage years, oh, that's kid stuff. You shouldn't watch cartoons. However, when you go to college, what do you see people doing? They're
right.
watching cartoons.
Right, watching Ren and Stimpy. What college kid didn't of my generation didn't watch Ren and
Well,
Stimpy?
Ren and Stimpy was more college humor. That wasn't made for kids.
No, definitely not. But most cartoons were not made for kids in general. Anyway, if you think
Hmm.
about it, I was talking about this with a daughter the other day, and I said, I'm like, you've never seen Billy and Mandy? And she's like, no. I'm like, you really need to watch Billy and Mandy because you, my daughter, are Mandy. You are Mandy.
The Grim Adventures of Billy and Mandy. Yeah, that
I
was
love
great.
Grimm. Grimm is hilarious. And whoever decided to give Grimm that Jamaican accent was a genius.
Ah,
Because I love Grimm. He's hilarious.
I really did like that. Then there's Courage the Cowardly Dog, which was
Yeah.
really cool. It was like
Courage got dark, would get dark a
yeah, it
lot.
would.
I'm like, where are they going with this?
When you watch that, it's like, the serial killer or the killer, but the killer was the protagonist was always calm. It had the crotchety old man who didn't like anybody, the sweet old mother who liked
Yeah.
everybody. And then you had the dog that was afraid of everything, who was running around saving everybody. Then you had the antagonist, like, well, yes, I'm just here to dye your hair. That's all I want to
Yeah.
do. Can I touch your hair?
Aliens showing
Yeah.
up, all kinds of shit. Yeah. Courage was awesome.
Yeah, and he went around saving the world. A really dark cartoon, though, almost just as dark as Invader Zim.
That was a good one.
That was
That
one
was
of my
very good.
favorite ones.
Yeah, so these are all cartoons, though, honestly, that I'm watching as an
For
adult.
animation, yeah.
I'm watching this as an adult. Courage came out when I was watching Courage, I think, when I was in the army. I know I
Yeah.
for sure, 100% for sure, this is a cartoon that came out for kids. But I tell you honestly that 100% I watched every episode that came out when I got a chance was Rugrats. And I was an adult.
One of the episodes of Rugrats that really was cool, and you, as a parent, you get it, is when one of the kids tries to take, I think it's a pair of pliers to the dad's nipples, thinking he's a robot. And he screams. And I think every parent, every dad, happy Father's Day, by the way, to you,
Oh, yes,
can relate
that's
to
coming
that
this
because
Sunday.
the kids will come up and try something with a sharp object or something that pinches, like, does this hurt, daddy? And you're like, wow.
Yeah, and you could never have shown your child any episodes of, the World Wrestling Federation or whatever they call it now, yet every single one of them tries to jump off the top rope onto you while you're on the ground.
Yeah, exactly.
They all do that. They all do
What
that.
was it, the turnbuckle flyer or something like that?
Yeah. What I never understand with Tommy,
Yeah.
he always had a screwdriver in his diaper. I'm like, that can't be comfortable, Tommy.
Yeah,
I
but
don't
did you
know.
notice that? He was like the ringleader of lock picking.
Well, he could do pretty much anything. It was really only because his parents were so bad. They were such bad parents.
And that's one of those dark theories about it. It's like, they were allowed to roam around because the parents weren't attentive. Not that they didn't care, because at the end of the show, it showed like they cared, but it's like, you guys are going to do your own thing. We're going to do our own thing. And there's some pretty dark theories about Rugrats. It's like,
Really? There's some actual dark theories about Rugrats. What
yeah.
are they?
Oh,
Throw one
geez.
out to me. Oh,
One is,
jeez. See, this is the problem, Russ. You'll bring something up, and then I'm like, oh, really? What is that? I think it's because you bring stuff up, and half the time you're like, "Oh, he's not going to ask me about that."
No,
But this time
this
you're in
one's
trouble. I am asking
this
about it. Well,
one's
tell me a dark Rugrats theory. What's a dark Rugrats theory?
that they're actually all adults, and these are repressed memories. Like Angelica's a CEO, and Phil and Lil are actually one person with a split personality, right?
Really?
The twins. Right?
Okay.
What else? If I remember correctly, and I'm probably getting this all wrong, that like Chucky, who lost his mom, right, was just devastated. So he's the one recounting all these memories, sort of like the take on R2D2's memories, right? And I'm saying the right word again. Take a drink if you haven't been paying attention. Is that we're seeing something actually as you pointed out, a regressive memory, but through the eyes of somebody else.
Well, okay, then as time goes by, then Tommy gets a little brother. I can't remember his name. He had some weird name.
I forgot. I really did.
Yeah. But that's interesting. So they're all repressed memories.
Mm-hmm.
Fascinating. Is there any other weird theories about the Rugrats?
Well, what?
Dill
was that?
Dill.
Dill.
That's what it was.
Right.
Do you ever call, if anybody's got a name like Lillian, do you ever say Lillian? Do you ever do that? I do that all the
Actually, no, I don't. One of those things that I try not to mention, when I'm learning somebody's name, I'll call them out wrong so they'll tell me their name. That doesn't always work. This week, I had 3 new students, right, at the dojo, and I'm like,
oh, look at it. He just has to mention it. We are 11 minutes and 40 seconds in, and he just can't help himself and has to mention the dojo. And why were you at the dojo?
I was training. No, because
we janitor? Do you go there to clean it?
I do. I go there to kick ass and clean the mats, and those mats are shiny. But the thing is, with the names, I throw out the wrong name because speaking through a mask is very hard, right? And especially when you got to speak loud. And after an hour of wearing the mask, my voice kind of gives out. Yeah, I get drinks of water, but I can't enunciate the word, or I can't hear properly because they're speaking through a mask. So I'll say, "Hey, what's your name?" "All right, Bob." "I got it." And they'll repeat the name a couple of times and I'll get it. And when I get it, it finally sticks with me. So one of the dark theories is Kimmy's, which was Chucky's sister, or that's
Kimmy.
Chucky's mom, I think.
Babysitter?
Yeah, no, because they go to Paris. Is a sex worker. Kimmy's mom, which becomes Chucky's mom, is a sex worker. All right. So another dark theory is Stu makes toys in the basement because Tommy is stillborn. After Tommy died at birth, Stu Pickles went pretty nuts and spends all of his time making toys in the basement as a way to deal with his grief.
Whoa. Where did they get that?
I've heard that one before. I've heard a couple of these before, right?
Well, it is kind of odd that they are all, because they're all related, right? All of them are related. The only one that's not related is Chucky, right?
Yeah, Chucky doesn't have a sister, but he has a stepsister later on from the Paris movie.
Related to the other kids, because what's her name is their cousin. The oldest girl is Tommy's cousin and Phil and Lil's cousin, I think. I think Chucky's the only one that's... I don't think Chucky's related.
Oh.
I don't know. This is when we need research, folks. Just
here's another one. Chucky died in a car accident. We all remember that Chucky's dad is a bit neurotic, and his mom.
He's a redhead because it's all blood. It's really blood. It's blood saturated hair.
But this theory suggests that Chucky died in the car accident too, as well, making Chucky's dad even more off kilter. So the parents were a little bit off kilter.
So these are all parents. These are actually. So what you're saying is, if you really want to get really dark on it, all these parents, all of them lost their kids, and they're all in a support group together. That's how they actually know each other.
Oh, that is a great... I haven't read that one anywhere. That's a great one, right? Because all the parents are together at some point, right? Why are you doing this? This is great. So what cartoon, as long as we're on animation and cartoons, what cartoon turned out to be your biggest disappointment growing up that you didn't think was real, or you didn't, as you got older, you just kind of fell apart for you?
That's a good one. Let me think. I really enjoyed. I really liked the Ninja Turtles when I was young,
Of course you are. You're a ninja in training.
but I'm not so sure. Like I've watched some episodes as an adult, and I was like, yeah, these are not great.
So, as a
These
martial
pretty.
artist, do you pick out the certain moves that they could do, and do you think it's
They're not
possible?
really. They're not doing any actual moves in the cartoon. They're not doing anything spectacular in the cartoon.
One of the things that I found I was disillusioned is because I do Okinawan weapons, is that you
No
can't
way.
spin.
Do
Yeah,
you do
you
some
can't.
sort of Okinawan weapons
I
martial
do.
art?
I do. I do. You can't spin a bow that fast, right? I suppose you can, but
You also can't twirl a nunchaku with the strings on the top of your finger. You also can't do that.
you're right. Unless the string is thick enough, right? It's got to be you'd have to get some serious momentum, right? And
Pretty sure it would still fly off and not
yeah, it
stay on
would.
your fingertip
And
like
you
that.
can spin the bow fast enough, but it's not practical, right? And because you look at Kata championships, and when they do all that flash and crap, they spin the bow really fast, but all you got to do is shoot them and they're down.
Yeah. Well, no. Although, there's more than one classification. There's more than one category. They'll do what do they call traditional forms, and so none of
Mhm.
that's usually flashy. And then they do all that other shit, the non-traditional, and that's where the kids have like the tapered bows that are like weigh 2 ounces, or they got glow sticks, and they do all kinds of fancy
Yeah,
stuff.
fiberglass
And they're
bows.
and they're doing flips and stuff, and you're like, yeah, I would just literally hit you with my bow while you're doing all that crazy stuff.
The other thing that I found disillusioned or disheartening is like they couldn't. The Scooby Doo mystery gang could not figure out it was the first person that they came across 90% of the time.
Right.
If they would have said, "Hey, we know it's you. Get it. We're arrested. Right? Arrest them."
Yeah.
Right?
You know what
And
really bothers me? You know what really
what's
bothers
that?
me about that is that all of the all of the porn sites that attempt to have the sexy Velmas and Daphnes, they never look like them, and that's really disappointing. Like you need
Wow.
to try harder. Casting, people who do casting for porn, you really need to try harder. You want to do all this cosplay stuff, but you got to pick the right person.
So if you're gonna do that, who would you pick for Velma then?
No, I'm just saying in general, they got to do a better job. Or they'll pick somebody who's like 200 pounds. I'm like, yeah, that doesn't look like Velma who lost her glasses. It
So
doesn't matter if you put them in the same type of outfit.
what would you need to qualify to be a Velma or anybody for that matter in an adult film?
Well, first of all, they have to look like them. They have to look like them
Well,
somewhat.
makeup's a great
Or that you
wonder
could,
thing.
yeah, make up and you've got wigs and stuff like that. But don't make them like 300 pounds. Don't let them try to act. At least try to make them dress up and try to make it look like it.
Are you watching adult film content for a plot line? Because if you are, the Beatman, have transcended past everybody else who watches adult
No, but
content.
if they're going to do cosplay stuff, I want it to be accurate cosplay stuff. We've had this discussion before. I've said that before. I think I would be good at casting. I feel like I would be good at casting.
Well,
Just saying.
yes,
That's all there is to
yes,
it.
you're nubile, but what can you do bent over? I don't know. If I had to do casting on that, it's like, well, where did you graduate from school in acting? Oh, you were in your third grade playing. You played the tree. Well, you're going to give somebody wood tonight, so that's good. I can see the correlation. You are hired.
Wow. Yeah.
So
You might not
another.
be the best casting director.
No, I would not. Right? And of course, if you were the casting director, you would say to the other talent, I'll be starring in every scene with the women. I just need someone to run the camera. I know my lines. Oh,
I don't. No,
oh,
I don't need to do that. That's
you
not
don't even need to
necessary.
run
But
your lines. You're good.
I do want there to be good. I do want there to. If it's going to be cosplay, I feel like it should be pretty accurate. That's why I think I would. I'd be pretty good at casting.
So,
But no, I don't need to be in the. I don't have no desire to be in the film itself. Thank you.
so here's another, dark theory that as long as we're on that, is the world of SpongeBob SquarePants is a product of nuclear testing. And I actually made this correlation a long time ago, is because you look at Bikini Bottom, let's say that word, and do you remember some of the first nuclear testings was done? Bikini Atoll.
Okay.
So, like Godzilla, they're a product of nuclear testing.
Godzilla is way cooler though.
I agree. I agree completely.
Well, I think SpongeBob SquarePants is not real in general. It's just the imagination of that weird pirate guy. You know, because
Uh,
you ever see it where they come out of the water? So when they come out of the
Patches.
water, it's just a sponge, and
Yeah.
then it's some ugly looking octopus, and Mr. Crab is just like a little shell crab.
Yeah. Well, it's one of those things also on budget. Now, here's another one, and it goes back to what we were saying about Scooby Doo. Scooby Doo and the Mystery Inc. don't age because they're ghosts. Because they're going around haunting everybody who's done wrong.
Hmm. Huh. I
So
could see
that's
that.
pretty cool.
Yeah, I could see that. Maybe.
Right? Did you ever see the animation Ed, Ed and Eddie?
Yeah, the kids who lived in the cul-de-sac.
Yeah, and everybody's got that smart friend, that dumb friend, and that scheming friend. And I can relate that. And they realized that it was actually a dark ending. They realized they were in a cartoon, right?
Really?
Yeah. If I remember correctly, they realized that they were in a cartoon and that they were getting canceled,
Hmm.
right? But another theory is they are set in purgatory. So that's pretty cool.
There's some theory about that I was trying to look up that the boy was telling me about. I'm gonna have to look it up again because I just did a general search on it
Mm-hmm.
and
Yep.
nothing never came up. But that the Office, Parks and Rec, The Good
Mm-hmm.
Place, all those things are actually linked because they're all by Michael Schur or whatever.
Okay.
But actually, The Good Place is actually what is happening to The Office and Parks and Rec. They're all dead, and that's their version of The Good Place.
Oh wow. Now I heard a dark theory about The Office being actually a hit squad because
What's
I
the
get
theory on that? How does that
well
even
because
fit into
they're
anything?
serial killers, right? You never see any of their clients, right? And
Yeah, you
those
do.
well, some of those clients that come in are they're contract killers basically, right?
They're contract killers
Mm-hmm.
in Pennsylvania.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well,
There's a big call for contract killers in that area of Pennsylvania. In
well,
Scranton, Pennsylvania. In Scranton, PA. You're gonna go to Scranton, PA to hire contract killers. I don't think Michael can't even walk across the floor without almost falling. I don't think he's a very good contract killer.
yeah,
And
but
none of them
Dwight,
have any money. None of them have any money. They're all poor.
well, well, when you look at Dwight, he's crazy enough to be one of those.
Well,
You
also
know, in that
I
theory.
don't even see how they're getting that one. That theory I gotta shoot that one down. I don't see that. That's just it doesn't even register on my radar as being some sort of a possibility. Like that's a real far reach. Where do you even come up with that from?
Well, it goes back to this one where Dark Theory identifies as one of the Office as a serial killer. So it it was I think was it Toby Flenderson who is the HR rep. I think he
Yeah,
was the one that was
Toby.
going.
Yeah.
Yeah, he was part of that theory. But it's really cool to look
No,
back
but
at
I mean
all.
theories have. I mean, but theories have to have some sort of a basis to them.
No, they
What
don't.
is I? Well, I get. I mean, yeah, but I'm like, but where are they drawing those? Well, I don't even see where you would draw from that. I can totally understand the theory that the Office is that's their purgatory or that's their hell, like in the Good Place,
Well,
and the
okay.
same thing with Parks and Rec. I can see that too.
Well, here's how they put it together for the serial killer in the Office. In the viewing party,
Well,
he
there's a difference
notices.
between them being a serial killer and being a hit squad. You said they
Yeah,
were
I did. But for the serial killer, the alleged strangler is driving a 2000 green Mercury Cougar, and then they see it parked outside the office, right? So could be one of the staff members, right? It's just a theory. That's the one thing about it as you watch this show, right?
So that's just saying that there's one serial killer in the office.
Yeah, I would actually go with a couple more because you look at Dwight, he is just a complete sociopath sometimes. He's one of those guys where he could just snap at any moment, and if he does, right, you don't want to be around.
The only one that I would think that might possibly could that you could maybe think is a serial killer might be Toby, just because he's that reclusive person who never changes his facial expression. There's no change in or
And that's
inflection
where
in his
the
voice.
serial killer theory comes from. It's Toby.
That'd be it. But yeah, but you didn't say serial killer. You said hitman. I'm like,
Oh, I
how
did that. I
do
did mention that. You're right.
I'm
But
like, I don't see that
Hitman.
one. I could see that. Yes, Toby is a serial killer. But I don't know that I would base that off of the whole the series. But I think that there was a part in it. There is a part in it too where Toby was on the jury for the serial killer, and he said that he didn't think that the guy did it, but they still convicted him. He didn't feel like the guy did it, and then I think later on he tries to get him off or something, if I remember correctly.
Okay. But
So I could see that a little bit, but yeah, Toby's just weird. So a bit
so when
bizarre.
I watch all these cartoons, like I was a big Transformers fan,
Sure.
and now we have robots that don't change, but we have automatic cars. And another dark theory, speaking of cars, is that when we watch the movie Cars, it's actually because the automated cars that we have today actually took over the planet. And now it's the future.
So we don't know the cars have taken over.
No, not yet. If you've noticed that in the movie The Cars, everything is a car. Everything. Right? So think about today. We have automatic cars now, or we're getting there. They speak. We have AI or somewhat AI if you really want to think about it. So put the two together. Now you have cars.
Mm-hmm.
It's an interesting dark theory on that. So you guys,
Yeah. So they probably get a little bit of that idea from Maximum Overdrive.
which was, believe it or not, based on a Twilight Zone episode, Here They Be Monsters on Maple Street.
Mm-hmm.
Because I just saw that episode. And when I went to see the Maximum Overdrive, which was written by Stephen King, I thought it was a ripoff of what I saw on the Twilight Zone. Was actually a different. That's actually a plot taken from a different movie or a different author.
Huh.
Yeah, I
Well, the
actually watched
cars
that.
thing. Well, the reason why I think that I can see where you're talking about with the cars thing with Maximum Overdrive, they still have to have humans. That's the thing, because in
Mhm.
Maximum Overdrive, they're threatening them. All that ends up in the end is the humans. All they're doing is fueling and fixing the cars.
It's been a excuse me. It's been a while since I've seen that, but I noticed that most.
I don't think that actually happens in the movie, but when you read the story, it's a short story.
Oh yeah,
In the
it's a
short story,
short
they're
story.
basically they just have to keep filling up the cars. That's what they're doing. They keep fueling the cars.
Really,
Yeah.
I've never read the behind the scenes or the short story of it. That's an interesting take. So actually, the humans become slaves to the cars.
Yes.
Wow.
Yeah.
And just like the toasters become, we become slaves to toasters to turn into the T-100s or the Terminators.
Sure. Although
So,
I can't remember the last time I used a toaster, so that's probably not going to happen in my house. Don't use a toaster. Don't eat bread, really. So that's probably not going to happen anytime soon. To the Beefman. Rest assured, those who listen and who are members of the Slaptail Nation Army, my toaster will not become a Terminator.
I think for sure, though, you would eat toast if I got you a certain toaster, right? If I got you a Darth Vader toaster,
No,
right?
I still wouldn't eat toast.
Come on now. You
No,
wouldn't eat the dark side
no,
to absorb his essence.
no, I would not.
I'm not finding that hard to believe because you are adamant about what you eat these days. So yeah, I can't see you doing that, but I'm trying to think of a toast that you would eat that's gluten free. Would you eat gluten free toast?
No.
It's still a bread, isn't it?
Yeah. It'd be like,
Yeah, it's still a bread.
it's
Yeah,
still bread.
it's
It's still
still
bread.
bread.
I don't eat that.
So that's a great
Speaking of
segue.
Star Wars,
Speaking of Star Wars,
if I
yeah.
may,
Oh, please
very
do.
pleasant surprise. Very pleasant surprise.
Well, what is that?
I went to
Sorry about that.
and might I just say that I've often thought about doing this myself in some capacity. Went to jujitsu the other day. Not that part. I always think about going to jujitsu. And friend of the show, Andy, has a tattoo. This was his first tattoo. He doesn't have any tattoos. And I was like, dude, you got a tattoo? And he's like, yeah. I'm like, that's amazing. That's impressive. He's like, well, can't just let you be the only one who's tattooed. Whatever.
So what
But
did he get?
he got the symbol of the Jedi Order tattooed on his forearm.
Wow.
Now, I have often thought about getting a Star Wars related tattoo.
What would you get?
Well, see, that's where it gets a little bit tricky because I believe the audience knows that I share a great love for the Jedi Order, but I do not believe. But I do not believe in all their precepts.
Yeah, but you're also part of the dark side too. Could you get it like the Jedi Order and kind of gray in?
Right. It's just like,
well, I believe in some of the concepts, but not all of them.
Not all of the concepts. Yeah, and I'm not a full-on Sith either. So, I don't know. So I guess that's probably never going to happen for me. I'm probably not going to have any sort of Star Wars symbol on me.
I doubt that because your love of Star Wars will grow and you could get like the Millennium Falcon or
No, because that's not the full-on thing for me. The Millennium Falcon's cool, but I don't need like the Millennium Falcon.
So where would you get the tattoo? I mean, you've got a decent sleeve going, but where else would you get it?
Well, I mean, here's the problem. As you get older, you can't really keep getting tattoos. Your skin changes.
Well, yeah.
So it's not always the greatest idea to keep getting tattoos.
Yeah, but if you've got,
I'm pretty much, in my opinion, running out of time to get tattoos. So if I'm going to finish up getting tattoos, okay, you got to look at it from a tattooist perspective and from a medical perspective. Okay. You can't tattoo papyrus type skin. That's not a good idea.
I see people well into their 60s and 70s getting tattoos.
Not a good idea. Talk to a tattoo artist. They will do them, but they don't like to do them either.
They're you could get like all right, so let's say your pec is going to expand. You could get like a small Death Star explosion over your nipple, and then as it droops, it expands, and you can have the Millennium Falcon flying away. How cool would that be? As you expand,
I'd rather just explosion. No. If I was going to ever get anything, I would have got like something like Andy did, which is get a symbol. That's what I would have got. Not anything. I wouldn't get like an X-wing fighter or a Y fighter or something like that.
So you could get it on the tip of your penis and then go, "I have the Force in my pants."
No.
You could get a lightsaber and watch it grow.
No, it wouldn't grow that large. It would look like Yoda's lightsaber.
Yeah, but Yoda's a badass.
Right, but he has a tiny saber.
It never stopped him. Look how do we know? Look at the fan following he has. And somewhere was Grogu before Yoda? Yeah. Grogu's before Yoda. No, after Yoda. I'm sorry.
Yes. Grogu is 50 years old in the show, approximately.
So
Yoda's 900 years old.
Hey, Yoda got it on somewhere with somebody.
They're not related.
So you think that's the truth? That's
what they're going to say that he's not related. They're going to say there's an entire planet of those beings. They just don't know where it is. It's a secret.
Uh-huh.
It was never revealed where he is. Just because there's a being like Yoda and then there's a being like Grogu doesn't mean that they're related. That's just that far. That's that very basic understanding that every people's hopping to. Like, oh, it's totally Yoda's son, man. He totally got it on with that other Yoda-like being that sits on the Jedi Council. Which I'm like, no, I don't think so. because that other Yoda-like being is not hot enough for Yoda.
A shout out to the Swan, because she's not here to stop us from geeking out like she did the last podcast. So
Did she
this
stop
is
us? She didn't stop
she
us.
tried. She tried. It's like she looked over at Tremonde. It's like they're just gonna geek out, And I'm like, yeah, we should, right?
Yeah, well, that's what this podcast is. This is my motherfucking podcast.
It
And if you don't
is.
like it,
Get the fuck out.
Get the fuck out.
Yeah.
That's how it's done.
So, are you excited for the Mandalorian to come back?
Oh yes, of course.
So I don't know how they're going to top Grogu being gone.
His name's Grogu.
Grogu,
not Grogu.
My mistake.
He's not some anime character. There probably is an anime character named Grogu. I don't know. Maybe. I don't know how they're going to top it.
I agree.
I don't know. It's going to be difficult. I feel like they could have probably ended it there, and we would have been okay with it.
And how they're going to play the dark saber into it now that the Mandalorian is ruler, because you just can't give that up. You have to fight and best him in battle for it.
Nah, I don't think he's going to end up. There is we're going to end up finding out. I mean, they said what his name is, but he's actually some other Jedi in the future. I mean, not Jedi. He's some other. He has some title like the Wise or something like that. I don't know. So they're going to play in with that somewhere. I think what'll happen.
Yeah.
What I wanted to see with it is I wanted to see him go with Luke Skywalker to be Grogu's protector or guardian. I think that
you got the badass of the Force in the universe protecting him. How's the Mandalorian going to protect him?
Well, he's still young.
Yeah, but you've got Luke who could just force choke these guys. In fact, when he boards that ship, he rips through all those stormtroopers like they were paper.
Well, here's the thing that I've been understanding from more reading of the stuff and watching reading legends and all that other good stuff, is that you can reach out to the Force, but if you don't feel it and or be able to manipulate, you can't necessarily manipulate it at all times. Sometimes you
Luke's never been like that. Let's face it, Luke can always use the Force.
No, he can't. He hasn't always been like that. He fucked up all the time when he was on Dagobah.
Yeah, that's just the cover story that he uses.
The Luke in Legends is different. And that's what we're kind of seeing. That's what we're kind of seeing at the last episode of Mandalorian is the badass version of Luke.
Yeah, I don't agree with that. I think he could protect Grogu on his own, right?
And he can't. Yeah, but the point is he can't be with him 24 hours a day.
Yes, he can. He's a bachelor.
We don't see him later, Ronz. You're not even making sense. You do know this is before Return of the Jedi, or the Mandalorian is. I mean, after Return of the Jedi. So we don't see him later. We don't see Grogu in the later movies. So where'd he go? So clearly Luke wasn't with him.
Okay. I know better than to best you in Star Wars trivia because you will smoke me every time. I was just saying, Andy.
I mean, logically, where is he? So where did he go? Where is he?
I don't know.
This is after the fall. The Empire has fallen. This is why we now see Luke and Grogu. And so Grogu goes off with Luke. So what happens after that? Does Grogu go somewhere else, decide he's not going to be a Jedi? What happens with him? Because we don't see him in the most recent movies, and because he wouldn't be old. Yoda lived to 900 before he died. Grogu's only 50 years old. So if they were going to incorporate him in, and he stayed with Luke, Yoda didn't become a Jedi until he was like 100 years old.
Okay, fair enough. Once again, goes to my point. You know more than I do on the Star Wars things. After all, you read the canons more than I do. In fact, if Star Wars were a religion, you and Andy would be high priests.
I really feel like they should just offer that as a course. There really should be colleges that you can go to become scholars of Star Wars. I think that would be quite interesting.
And what would be the message that Professor Beaveman would spread among the masses as a scholar of the Star Wars?
Stay thirsty, my friends.
Right. So, with that
knowledge.
For knowledge, that's great. So, with that said, how far would you push the Star Wars agenda on your students? Obviously, they want to take it; they're there, but would you convert them over to your way of thinking, like the Dark Lords, like the Sith
No,
Lords do?
of course not. That's not
Or,
what education is for. Education is to expand your knowledge and your knowledge base to make decisions on your own, not to have stuff pounded into your head.
so ROTC would be wrong.
You still have to have an individual thought process.
That's not what I've been told. That's not what you tell me.
You don't want to think as an individual. You use
No,
horse
no,
to
I
tell you
do.
how to
I do.
think.
I do. I do. So, with the Star Wars agenda, Professor Beaveman, what would be a passing grade for you? What would be, would you take in, like, let's say,
It
I
would
can't think
have
of
to.
the word.
First of all, it would have to be a theoretical class anyway. You know what I mean?
Oh, well, of
And you
course.
should do it multimedia anyway. You shouldn't just do Star Wars. I mean, you should have Marvel Universe, DC Universe, Dark Horse Comics, all those
Ooh.
things. If you could have that can you imagine having that as an actual bachelor's degree and having professors who have gone all the way to the doctoral level to be masters of what I guess you would call this the new literary movement?
So there you have it, literary movement, right? That would be a literary course. I know somebody, I think you know the same person if you don't, that taught a course at one of the local community colleges on the history of rock and roll.
Yeah. Yeah.
That would be so
Doesn't he
cool.
still teach that?
I'm not sure if he does or doesn't.
Oh, well, I mean, and that course makes sense, but think about how hard it had to be the first person to fight for that course.
Well,
But that's been around, for quite a while. But I'm sure that eventually, I mean, there's probably individual professors that are teaching classes on things like, the theory behind Batman. You there was I read about the guy who's the book that I'm reading right now. I can't remember if it's the ethics of Batman or the philosophy of Batman or something like that. And he taught a course. He convinced the dean or whatever to let him teach a course about Superman because he explained that Superman is actually the story of Moses. And so
ooh.
he taught a story. So he was allowed to teach a course about Superman in college.
So there are a couple of places. By the way, I like being in front of my computers, and so I can
It
back
does
up.
make it easier when we.
Yeah, it does.
When
There's Star Wars, Harry Potter, and the world of academia. So yeah, that's really cool. And then there's a course using Star Wars to examine religion.
Yeah.
Right?
Well, when you talk about Harry Potter, I know that I came across somebody was doing a thesis about Harry Potter and Jesus. That Harry Potter was the new, or had something to do with being Jesus or something. The Harry Potter is actually the story of Jesus. Like,
Wow.
I don't really
How
think
does
so,
that
but
relate?
I think you could. I think you probably could because he's the chosen. I mean, he's supposed to be the chosen one or the Messiah. Harry Potter, I guess you could say. He was supposed to save them all. He was the kid that didn't die or whatever. That didn't work out for Jesus. Sorry.
No, I didn't. No, I mean, he got nailed to a cross on that one. Right. Hey, oh.
Right.
So,
yeah, I don't know.
which
I don't know if I'm
actually,
supposed to hail on that one.
Okay, Hail Mary then. So, with that said, then, with literary changes around us, how do you feel about people banning books? Right? There are a lot of people who came out against Harry Potter because the overtone religion in it, and there wasn't really any overtone religion to it. It's what they put into it. At least in my opinion, when you read the book and watch the movies, if you got something into it, sort of like I say with the Star Wars movies, then that's great for you. But if you read it for what it is, that's what it is. Just a book and a movie, sci-fi, fantasy, whatever. But to me personally, these people going out banning books, they're fucking nutcases. What's the reason?
I would say the reason is ignorance, like it always has been. It's hard enough to get people to read books anyway. Why do you want to go out and ban them? Most of the time, people don't even read books.
And you are in luck, considering the UK recognizes Jedi as an official language. An official religion. Complete with its own church, the class has natural next step. The class taught the core issues of the Star Wars universe as balance, destiny, and dualism, as well as the real life psychological techniques embodied in the Jedi mind trick. So there you go. You have found your calling, but on a different continent.
Well, that doesn't matter here in the United States because
Well,
we
that's
have
why I said it's
freedom.
on a different continent.
No, what I'm saying is it doesn't matter what they have there in the United States. We can start any religion we want to because we have freedom of religion. So I wouldn't have to go to another continent.
Do we
If I
really?
wanted to,
Let
if I
me pull
wanted to
the
make
B-man. Do we
Jedi as a,
really have
if I wanted to
freedom
be
of religion?
Jedi as a religion here, I could just be Jedi as a
Do
religion.
we really have freedom of religion here? We
Yeah.
don't. We
We
think
do.
we do, but we don't.
How do we not?
Oh, come on. Right?
You're free to
I'm
practice any way you want.
right. That's not, yeah, but don't bring it outside. A lot of people freak out about that.
Well, that doesn't mean that still doesn't mean that doesn't mean that we don't have religious oppression. We have
We
freedom
do
of
have
religion.
religious oppression.
That's what I just said.
Oh,
I just
okay.
said that doesn't mean that we don't have it. What I said was we have the right to practice any way we want, but that doesn't mean that somebody isn't going to oppress us because that's what we do here. We eat too much and we oppress other people. That's the American way.
And that's called people being really obese when they hug you. So, and there's the religions of Star Trek at the Muhlenberg College. That's cool. South Park and contemporary issues. Wow. I have been going to the wrong classes. When I was
See,
going
you
to,
could have totally gone and become a. You could have already had your degree, Ron's.
I could have.
You could already have a bachelor's degree, and I feel like if you, I mean, would truly be if you had a doctorate, that would truly be the definition of a doctor of philosophy.
The
Because
thing
these
is,
are all philosophical concepts.
they are. I went to a Catholic school and theology, and you were taught to think one way, be one way, and accept it as one way. There are no deviations. However, when you break free of that, you realize I can follow the Church of the Beaveman and go down the Star Wars path, which is the enlightened path, which we should all go. So, yeah.
You
I
should
don't
go that
know.
way, and you should all send me money too. Go that way, send me money, have me be the real leader, and that's what's important in life.
So, what kind of vestments would you wear? Would you like wear a flowing robe?
No, I would not. You always got to wear something that you could fight in, Ron. I think I've explained this before.
Yeah, but
Robes get in the way.
No, Obi-Wan fought in a robe, and the only reason he gave up was, in theory, to make Luke realize that there's an evil path.
That's not why. He gave up because he was tired and he'd never been laid. He's like, you
Okay,
know what? He's like, fuck this. He said this before. He's like, fuck this. Raises his hand. He's like, I've never had pussy. Please just go ahead and kill me.
Yeah,
I have nothing to live for. I'm done.
Okay. Well, did he actually? Well, he knew who Anakin was. So did he actually pit those two against each other by dying in front of him? That's a hell of a theory right there. It's like,
No, that's
oh,
not
there's
a
your
theory.
son.
That is not a theory. That is. Don't you remember?
What's that?
Okay, let me refresh your memory. Obi-Wan doesn't believe there's any good left in Anakin, so he wants Anakin dead. Period. Yes, he knows. He tells Luke, "You have to kill Vader." He tells him that.
Really? Wow. Okay.
Yeah, he tells him that when he appears to him in Empire and in Return of the Jedi. There's no good left in him. You have to kill him. Your father's gone. Anakin's gone. You have to read the Legends series to realize that Obi-Wan made a mistake, and he recants it. He's like, "Oh shit, there was good in him. I shouldn't have. Yeah, that was a mistake."
Well, it's only because Luke said please, and manners do count. It's like, please, Father, help me. And it's like, well, you know what? That's my son, and he shows good manners in the face of adversity. There we go.
Right. Exactly. No, that's why. Like I said, I love the movies, but as I've come to, as time has gone by, I realized that I like the story more than I like the movies. So that's why I do read the other stuff and I do watch the other stuff, and I try to get more information about it, because if you just watched the movies, it's lacking. I mean, even dialogue is lacking. Like, dialogue's lacking, all this other stuff is lacking. Because you want to know more. You're like, well, that doesn't make any sense, or this doesn't make any sense. Why would he tell him to kill his dad? And then if if Luke would have listened, here, making it even crazier, going back to your whole theory. If Luke would have listened and he would have killed Vader, then most likely there would have been balance brought to the Force. Because the one who was the chosen one was Anakin, and they always thought he would bring balance to the Force, but Anakin did bring balance to the Force, but he only brought balance to the Force because he became Darth Vader and threw the Emperor off the thing in the first place.
So it was destined to happen that they would fight.
It was destined to happen that he would have feelings for his son, realize who his son was, and protect his son in the end. And that's how balance was brought to the Force.
So if you turn evil, not saying you would the daughter step up to defeat you, or would the son step up to defeat you? And then at the end, you would recant and, of course, be good. We all know that.
Question.
Because right now, if you piss off the Swan, she'll probably throw you over that reactor bridge anyway.
Yeah, so if I become evil, I do not feel like the boy would join my struggle.
And knowing who he is, I would agree with you, because he's got that soft, good side streak to him. He's like, well, it's just that. And he would probably put it in a rap song or a beat that he would do, make a film about it, and release it.
Yes, but I also don't feel like it would be him who would seek me out to defeat me. So I don't feel like he would go to the dark side. But I also don't feel like I would have to worry about him coming after me to defeat me.
Okay.
He may not join me, but he's not going to defeat me either.
So the daughter would be the one to watch out for.
The daughter, on the other hand, would most likely already be a part of the dark side. But in order to not be on my side, she would probably switch to the light once I switched to the dark, just so that she could fight me later.
So what you're saying is no matter what side you take, she's going to take the opposite. Just piss you off.
She is going to take the opposite side.
Because as we were at the Beaver studio and she came out of her bedroom, thanks for waking me up with all the stomping. I'm like, okay, right? And honestly, could you be more resilient though? Because I noticed that when she goes, I've got to be somewhere an hour, and you have that look like, okay, I will bend to your will. Right? Could you be strong against her influence?
I feel like I could defeat her. Yes, I do believe I could.
Could you be strong to her though against her influence? I know you could probably defeat her, but her influence, right? Because let's face it, Tremonti would fall under her influence, and she would set Tremonti as a pawn against you.
Well, I could easily defeat Tremonti. So.
Oh yeah, I know that.
I'm not too worried about that. He would easily fall before the might of the Beaveman.
And that's a shame, because Tremonti's such a nice guy, but to have him turn evil.
Well, he won't turn evil. That's the problem, see? So I will just have to defeat him.
But he will bend to the will of the daughter.
Right, but if I become evil, the daughter's going to have to become good. That's what I'm saying.
Mm-hmm. And, and honestly, I won't fight my mentor. Right? Even though Anakin and Obi-Wan fought, right? Because you will have the high ground. I know that, right? And with all your Army skill versus my Air Force skill, yeah, I might get a lucky shot in, but ultimately I think you would win because of all your training.
Yeah, and I don't know where you would fit into the evil empire because you're bumbling. So I guess you would have to be in charge of the janitors.
I think that'd be cool.
An evil janitor. We need someone to run the evil janitorial section.
Well, you know what? Speaking of janitors, have you ever seen the bodies in Star Wars? Right? On the Death Star? No, you haven't. There's always a janitor somewhere in the background.
There's always someone pulling that. But they bring it up in the later movies, which I thought was funny because that's what Finn was. Finn was a janitor.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Well, every time they try to go somewhere, it's like, oh, how do you know that, Finn? He's like, because I used to mop. That's what I used to mop. I mopped that area.
Yeah, but it's like when Darth Vader says about that certain admiral saying, he's no more, you're in charge now. Who cleaned up that area? It was the janitors. I think actually the janitors are the cleanup crew, of course. They're the cleaners of the universe.
Cleanup crew just follows Darth Vader around.
Yeah, exactly. It's like, and it's a paid gig too. You notice these guys are always, they've got the best accommodations wherever they're going because, Darth Vader likes to drop bodies.
Yeah, you just got to live in fear. You might get promoted. You might die, but it's
Yeah,
not so
or
bad.
you might drop your mop and he's in the middle of something and boom, you're dead too.
Yeah, I mean, that happens. Don't bump into him and things will be fine.
But
He's just an
yeah,
angry guy.
and thinking about how everybody would turn on you, except the Rons. The Rons would never turn on the Beaveman because I'm loyal to you, right? You could be the R2, I could be the C3PO if you want to.
Hey,
Right?
evil's only a point of view. It's
Of
all
course it is.
subjective. It's all subjective.
I agree. Right?
That's why I would
So
like to see them do a story from the other side.
so with that, we've seen possibly the eyes, the story through the eyes of C3PO, R2D2. What would it look like through C3PO?
Oh
Because
God, it would
apparently
be
he's
just
running all the way.
yeah. Who knows? It would be him just twitting out, full of anxiety, deciding which side he's going to switch to. He's always kowtowing to somebody. I
Well,
don't
he's a
know.
service droid, but yeah, there's that one scene where
He's
he
like,
gets
we should
ripped
just give
apart.
up. Let's just
Yeah,
give up. These are our new masters. Yeah, I don't know.
I would
But
love to see.
you've got to watch. I've been watching the Clone Wars, which is really hard to do because there's 7 seasons. It's just 7 seasons. You're talking like 20 episodes. I'm finally on season 4,
Wow.
3
How
or
long are
4.
the
I think I'm on
episodes?
season 4, like 20 minutes.
Okay.
But at the end of season, I think it was the end of season 2 or 3. There's an episode that's just totally R2D2
Mm-hmm.
saving Anakin, basically saving Anakin and Mace Windu. And then I just watched an episode where it was R2 and C3PO, and it basically was more of the alluding to that R2 is the one telling the story.
Yeah.
So they had him and C3PO had like 3 adventures in one episode, and at the end, C3PO is like R2D2 says to C3PO, and beeps at him, and C3PO is like, "Of course not." He's like, "I'll tell the story. No one understands anything you say anyway."
That's the other thing. How can they, and I wanted to bring this up last podcast, is how do they know what Star Wars or what R2D2 is saying? Because whenever Luke talks to him, it's like, I know R2. How do they know the translation?
Well, if you look on when he's on the X-wing fighter, R2 talks and it flashes across the screen what R2's saying.
I never noticed that.
Yeah, when he's on, it's Empire Strikes Back when he's flying to Dagobah. R2's talking to him and it flashes across the screen, and he says, "No, I don't mind. I'll fly for a while," or something like that. But it says what R2 says, so they can translate it. They have translators. But later on, clearly Luke understands what R2's saying. He always has conversations with him, so he apparently learns how to understand R2.
Or is he talking
But
to him in
again,
his head? Yeah.
or is there some special link because R2D2 is actually, and I kept saying sentient, which we know he's sentient, but the word I was trying to find was celestial. I think he's a celestial being.
A sentient celestial being.
And maybe maybe
How salacious.
maybe Luke understands R2 because of the Force. That's how he understands what he's saying. And you see that a little bit too in The Mandalorian, where Ahsoka is communicating with Grogu, and the Mandalorian's like, "Oh, you can understand what he's saying." "Oh, I can understand." She's basically says that because they're both part of the Force, she can understand.
Yeah,
She's
yeah,
like,
yeah. I remember that.
She's like, "I can't speak his language, but I can understand him," or some shit like that.
So, what character do you think is going to progress in this next set of Star Wars releases? Now, I know Ahsoka, I said that name wrong, right? Has got possibly her own series coming out.
She's going to have her own show. We're going to see the Boba Fett. We're going to see the life of Boba Fett.
Do you think they're going to review? Do you think they'll go back to Grogu? Because that would be interesting.
Well, his name's Grogu.
Grogu, not the Pikachu one, but do you think they'll go back to Grogu and update us? We'll say.
Well, it depends. I don't know when we're going to get the next season of The Mandalorian, but we are supposed to get the life of Boba Fett. We're supposed to get Obi-Wan, and they said that we are going to get an Ahsoka Tano. So eventually, we'll get the next Mandalorian, I guess. I don't know. They got a lot of cool shit going on. They just finished The Bad Batch. And I don't know if they're going to do another season of that or if it's one and done.
But I would like to see them go back to Grogu and see how he becomes, right? Because right now he's young, but I'd like to see him as a teenager and just force bitch slap people who just pissed him off, right? As most teenagers would like to do as they're angry.
Yeah, I don't know how much they're going to. It'll be interesting to see how much more of it they're going to do. Because it's got to be, well, not that Disney doesn't have an unlimited amount of money, because they sure do. It's just a matter of how much more are they, in my opinion, how much more are they going to involve Mark Hamill? I mean, that was a total fan service at the end, having him show up. But they're going to have him more if they have any more of Grogu. Unless they just say, "Oh yeah, he just left him and he's found somebody else to train him." I really think, and of course you can't do it. I really think it would have been way cooler for him to finish training Ahsoka, bring her back to being a Jedi in the Jedi Order, and then have Grogu be Ahsoka's Padawan. I think that would be sweet.
Yeah, and I was just going to say that. I mean, with Grogu being somewhere in the future now, what if they both became together and that became the Padawan for Ahsoka?
Yeah, but because Ahsoka's not a Jedi, I don't think that they'll
Well,
do that.
it's back. I mean, the last
Let
surviving
me say this:
Jedi.
she's not a Jedi Knight. She left the
Uh,
Jedi. She left the Jedi Order. Is she as badass as a Jedi? Obviously.
yeah, but she wields white crystal. Uh, she white lightsabers, so she's purified them. So she could be technically considered a Jedi Knight,
No,
right?
it's just the color that the Guardians have.
Well, yeah, maybe, but she
That's
could
what the
be a.
temple. That's the color of the lightsaber of the Temple Guardians.
So she could actually go back and start her own temple. No, because
I think it goes back to the whole thing that it's stupid to say that there's only two orders. She doesn't have to be a Jedi, but if she wants to, maybe she could still train Grogu. And it's not saying if you again, you got to read the books. It's basically saying when Darth Maul is being taught by Darth Sidious, who is the Emperor, he tells him that he's
yes,
like, yes, if you're not a Jedi, even if you're force sensitive, you must join the Jedi or you're not allowed to use your powers,
good, good. Let the hate flow through you.
which is stupid. So
Well,
like they should just need to be able to say, yeah, there's more than just the Jedi
okay,
and the
so it would
Sith.
be an offshoot of the Jedi. What would Osoko, whoever, call it? Right,
I don't
that
think
would
she
be
has to be anything. She doesn't have to call it anything.
so it would be like the Ninja Jedi, right? Don't call it a thing.
You don't have to call it anything. She could still just train him. She's better trained than you see that. Have you ever seen Rebels?
No, I have
Ahsoka's in
not.
Rebels. Ahsoka's in Rebels, and she says straight out, she's like, "I'm not a Jedi." Everybody knows she's not a Jedi because she left the Jedi Order. That's how she survived because she left the Jedi Order. So
I
when
thought,
the
yeah,
order went
okay.
out, she wasn't. She was no longer with the Jedi when that order went out.
All right. Well, it's sort of like the different sects of different religions. I mean, you don't have to be a part of the religion to start your own religion. That's what we call a cult, right? That's why you are the master of the universe, right?
True,
And we
and
could
that is
call it.
why there doesn't have to just be Jedi and just be Sith. There doesn't have
Mhm.
to just be two.
It could be the following of the Beaveman. I like that. The following of the Beaveman. That'd be
It would
cool.
have to have a way cooler name. That's too long.
Okay. What would you? Let's
I
bounce a
don't
name
know,
around
but
for
that's
you.
just too long. It's too long. You've got the Sith, Lords, and Jedi. Oh, that's
Okay. So 4 letters. Beaveman.
no, that's
BVMN.
too long. No, it's not cool enough. It doesn't inspire fear. It's got to be something cooler
Ah,
than that. I don't know.
that'd be cool.
I don't know, but it's been dark. It's been dark. It needs to be darker.
Wow. We could.
So
You know
if
what?
you
I'll
had,
work on
this
that.
is the last question. Last question for you, Ronz.
Okay.
If you and let's say your whole family of the three, because there's three of you,
Yes.
the three of you decide you're going to go get tattoos.
Okay.
But the tattoo has to be something that you all three enjoy. It doesn't have to be identical, but maybe it's something similar, and you're each going to get one to symbolize your interest in it. And maybe even differently than that, you're going to get the symbol that your son likes. Your son's going to get the symbol that you like, and your wife, or whatever. It's hard to split up with three people,
No,
but
I
you know what I
understand.
mean. What would it be? What would it be based on?
The
So I'll give you an
Beaveman.
example. Let's say no.
I
come
would do it on the Beaveman.
on. No, come on. So let's say it was comics, and your son liked Spider-Man, so you got the spider symbol.
All right, I understand. I
And
follow
you
so far.
like just Batman, and your son gets the bat symbol. So there's your commonality, comics.
Okay. Commonality, that's a big word.
So what would it be that your family would get?
I know my son loves bass and synthesizer. He composes. So for him, if I had to get something, it'd be a bass clef, right? Because he wants a bass clef, but it would be in the shape of a dragon because my wife likes, yeah. You're giving me this weird look that the audience can't see, but it's there's a bass clef tattoo out there that's in the shape of a dragon, and that would
You
also
mean it's a dragon in the shape of a bass clef?
whatever.
Yeah,
Yeah, you know,
that
hey,
makes a little bit more sense.
yeah, but however, the dragon would symbolize my wife's love of science fiction and fantasy, right? Because she likes all that medieval stuff, and the bass clef would symbolize that my son played the bass for 8 years. Yeah, actually 7, but he still plays the bass off and on, and his love of music. So for them, I don't know. For me, I've often thought about the Beaveman somewhere tattooed, but then again, every
Yeah,
time
except you really didn't answer my question because I said, what is it that you all share in common that you
music,
would
but
each get a symbol of?
well, they've all been on the podcast, so one I wouldn't want to put.
Okay, let me give you another example because you
Okay.
clearly don't understand.
No, I understand. I understand.
You've done Pokemon Go, so you know that there's Pokemon out there, right?
Yeah, we've done it a little.
Okay, so you know there's water type Pokemon, there's
Mhm.
fire Pokemon, there's mystery Pokemon, there's lightning Pokemon. Let's say you guys all love Pokemon, and your son's favorite Pokemon was a water type. And so you
Okay.
got the water type symbol.
Okay.
Your favorite is the lightning type, so your son gets the lightning symbol.
I understand what you're
And your
saying.
wife's favorite type is grass type, and so she gets one of yours instead.
What you're saying is, what tattoo would they get to symbolize? What tattoos would we get to symbolize each other?
Of your common interest.
Of our common
Yes,
interest.
not the symbol that you would get if you didn't have a family. The symbol
Oh, well,
that
thank
you
you.
would get the symbol that you get that there's their favorite being you're commemorating them.
I don't know if we have anything in common other than we're all individuals. Their hobbies, I mean, yeah, we all do martial arts, but that's not really their passion, right? It's my passion. They do it because I want them to be in it, right?
So wait a minute. So now your family pretty much outranks you,
Yeah,
but that's your passion, not theirs.
yeah, exactly.
Okay, let me ask you this then: would you ever get the symbol of your style tattooed on you?
Yeah, I would.
Okay.
I would, for the simple reason it was my first black belt style. So yeah, I would get it, right? And it would commemorate not only that, but it would also commemorate my wife and my son getting their black belts too.
Uh-huh.
Right?
So the answer to my question is you just don't know because you don't.
I would have to think
there's
about.
Nothing. You have to say
Yeah,
there's nothing.
I mean,
which is fine. You don't have to.
I mean, your son and you have a commonality of comics, but does the swan and the daughter share that commonality with you?
Right.
Yeah.
That's not what I'm saying that I would pick for us, though.
Okay, what would you pick?
I'm just saying. Well, I was actually referencing like if I had to pick. Yeah, obviously, if it was just me and the boy, I would get the Spider-Man symbol tattooed on me,
and he'd probably get the Batman,
and he'd probably get the bat signal tattooed on him. If it was just him and I.
Now the boy doesn't have a tattoo, though.
No, the boy doesn't have a tattoo. No, I don't tell my children they should get tattoos.
Would you?
And I'm not tattooed. The tattoos that appear on me were meant to be there.
Ah, so if a tattoo went up on the daughter, it was meant to be there.
Yes, sure. That is fine.
Would you allow the daughter to have a tattoo?
When she's old enough, she can do whatever she wants.
Okay, so yeah, my mother doesn't allow me to have a tattoo.
Okay. All right. So no. So if I was going to pick something that we all have some fun in, that we all enjoy,
okay,
it would be Pokemon.
Pokemon.
So each of the little symbols, whether it's fire, electric,
Are you a
mystery,
big
whatever.
Pokemon fan, Beaveman?
I like Pokemon. Yeah,
I didn't ask you if you liked it.
we play the game. We play the game.
Wow. A little insight for our viewers. Send
Is it
Pokemon
not
gifts.
obvious? Have I not said that I'm a nerd and a
Mhm.
geek? Okay, then. Yeah.
But you come off as strong and
We
masculine.
started playing that pretty big this year, actually.
Yeah, but you come across strong, masculine, ex-Army, you are
toxic.
tough.
Don't get all
Right?
toxic about it.
No, I wouldn't say you're
You're
toxic,
trying
but
to
you
set
are.
up these gender norms that I must follow because it's your idea of what a man is, Ronz.
No. But you come across as those things, as I mentioned, but you as a Pokemon player, that's one thing I don't think I ever
So my
imagined you.
favorite Pokemon type is the fighting Pokemon.
Really?
It has a little fist symbol.
I thought you would have used the line to the Swan, "Hey, Swan, do you want to play Pokemon?" And if she went, "Yes," but why? So I could get a Pikachu.
When Ronz tries to be funny,
it's not organic.
He's pretty much sucking ass.
Oh, yeah, you're right. So what would be, you said fighter Pokemon.
Yeah, so that's the one that's my favorite one, is the fighting ones. So that means somebody else in my family would have to get that as their symbol. And my sons, I think his favorite ones are the lightning Pokemon. So one of us would have to get the lightning symbol.
Okay.
And my wife typically uses the grass style, so we would have to get that. And the daughter uses all of them. So I don't know which one would be her particular one. Probably water.
It's sort of like the last Airbender. I like,
Right. Yeah. So yeah.
I'd like to get all 4 symbols eventually. All right. And I'm a big turtle fan, but I don't know which ones to get.
You're a turtle fan. What does that mean? Like you mean
Ninja Turtles.
Regular turtle? Oh, Ninja Turtles.
Yeah. I was an original turtle fan. I can't speak right now.
Which one's your favorite?
Oh my gosh. I don't have one. I like them all.
So out of the 4 Ninja Turtles, you don't have a favorite?
I like Raph's anger. I like Donnie's laid backness. I like Leonardo, the smart one.
Raphael's more laid back than Donnie.
Yeah. It's Raphael, I think, is the angry one. I like his anger. I like the way he uses the size. I like his, he's so bullheaded, he takes charge.
I meant Michelangelo. Sorry. I meant Michelangelo seems more laid back than Donatello.
Donatello's the leader. Michelangelo's the...
No, that's Leonardo. You don't know anything about the Ninja Turtles. What the fuck is wrong with you?
You know what? Yeah, you're right. I probably don't know that much as I thought. Yeah, what the fuck?
All right, quick Ninja Turtles quiz before we sign off for today.
Okay.
Members of the Slaptail Nation, if you get this right, then you're much smarter than Ronz. Here we go. Ninja Turtles trivia. Here we go.
Let's go.
I'm going to name it out, and the Ronz is going to answer this question. Which Ninja Turtle carries the katana? It's actually the Ninja Toe, but we're going to go with katana.
Donatello.
No, God, what the fuck? Which Ninja Turtle carries the nunchaku?
Michelangelo.
Yay, ding, ding, ding. He gets 1 right. He's got 1 out of 2. All right, next question. Which Ninja Turtle carries the sai?
Oh, that's Raphael.
Oh, wow. He got another one correct. That's 2 out of 3. And finally, by process of elimination, which I'm not going to give it to you because you're going to fuck it up, but which Ninja Turtle wears a purple headband?
Oh, that's good. That would be... No, I don't know.
Looking this shit up.
Yeah, I am actually.
You fucking looking this shit up.
Yeah, I would say Donatello, Michelangelo, Raphael, Leonardo.
Wrong. He wears blue. God, you suck. For somebody who loves the Ninja Turtles and wants to get a tattoo, you clearly suck at this game.
Well, I would probably do a little bit more research than that.
Oh. Well, then you don't truly love them.
I do. But you're the one that, said, if you're going to get a tattoo that's going to mysteriously appear in your body that was meant to be there, you should do the research, because when I wanted to get a Japanese symbol of karate or something like that, it's like, really? That means soup, right?
Yeah, exactly. That's what's going to happen to you. You're going to get something that means soup.
So I want to make sure that if I get it, I'll understand it and do the research, right? So like if I get the Slaptail Nation Squad logo, probably with a little bit more in-depth beaver jumping out with a coffee cup, it would look a little bit more realism.
Well, he jumps out with a mic, but not a coffee cup. He's on a coffee cup, but We get the point. Last Ninja Turtles trivia question.
Of course. Let's do this.
Who?
Splinter.
No. Which Ninja Turtle wears an orange headband?
Well, that's Michelangelo.
Is it?
I hope. Yeah, I think it is.
Yes, it is. All right, good job.
Because he comes,
right.
He's the one that's the party dude.
Yeah, party on, Michelangelo.
Yeah, party
Well, that's it for the Slaptail Squad. It's been a nice little geek out with me and the Rons.
Of course, always.
Next week, stay tuned, folks, because hopefully next week we will have Tremonde and the Swan back. And you guessed it. What we're going to do next time is we're going to try to see if we can make Tremonde throw up.
What?
Yeah.
Why would we want to do that?
Because next time the Swan is going to describe her surgery that she had done one day ago. And we're going to see if we can make Tremonde throw up.
I hope she's okay. How is she doing?
She is doing just great, Slaptail Nation, the Rons.
Yeah. And, the
Slaptail Squad family. She's doing just great.
When you said we were going to do this podcast, I thought, well, I could go out there. And I was really looking forward to going out there. But if she's recuperating, she doesn't need me in the beaver's den stomping through the place.
Well, she wanted to do the podcast, and I told her no. I'm like, no.
You are the man of the house. You tell her what to do.
You just need to chill out. I'm trying to get her to chill out. She's been a very bad patient at home. She's been a very bad patient recovering. But she should feel much better by next week. And next week, I would like to do one in person. And if we can't, we'll do it remote, but it'd be nice in person. But the Swan is going to describe her surgical procedure, and we're going to see if we can make Tremonde throw up.
And I want to add on to that. I want to see what your take is on the entire procedure, because in the medical field, you guys have certain expectations, and were those expectations met every step of the way?
Well, or were you going to laugh? In the surgery. So I'm not a surgeon. I don't do surgery. I do minor procedures, but I don't do anything in a surgical suite.
That would be interesting.
So it'll be fun. So we'll see. We'll see if we can all get together, and then we can also celebrate Tremonde's birthday.
Yes, we can. Happy birthday, Tremonde.
Yeah, and happy Father's Day in advance to the Rons
and to you as well, the Beaveman.
I am a better father than the Rons because I have two. And my oldest is older than his child, so I'm a better father because I was a father first. Because I was a father first, and I have two. So there you go. And
well, for all those, I can't dispute that you have two. I've met them both.
Yes, and for all of you fathers out there, happy Father's Day, and also a special happy birthday to my mother, who will be even older on Monday.
So it's happy birthday to the Beaveman's mom. Right, and happy Father's Day, and to Tremonde as well, right? Who's got a little diva on his.
I'm also a better father than Tremonde because my children are older, and I have two, and he has one.
I don't know about that. She actually got the daughter to wipe her butt.
Yeah,
you didn't raise a smart child there. The Tremonde did.
I did. I just raised a compassionate child. No, that would be the other one.
That would be the son. You've raised him to be compassionate.
I raised him. All right. Well, that's it for us. Thank you, members of the Great Slaptail Nation. Thank you for listening. We put this content out there for you, and we're so grateful that you listen and you enjoy it. Or maybe you listen and you don't enjoy it. I don't know. I don't care as long as you listen. And that's it.
Amen.
Adios, mooch fuckos.
From the Rons, a